So why is Lightning Strike seemingly the premier melee skill as of late, and how does it work? Personally, I'm not really sure why Lightning Strike, of all things, caught on. There's a lot of other melee skills which I feel are better single target, are better clear, or just feel better to play. However, Lightning Strike does synergize well with a lot of very popular and very fast builds, many of which are often a little bit more cinematic than something like Replica Alberon's Warpath, not to mention a little bit cheaper. So I would guess the main reason that Lightning Strike found the mass appeal is it doesn't require as much gear as something like Frostblades, it clears a lot better than something like Bladestorm, and it doesn't require as much mental energy as Earthshatter. But then, this begs the question of, how does Lightning Strike work? Let's start with something that's in the name. Lightning Strike is a strike skill, and strike skills are essentially enhanced auto attacks. This means if you want to clear with them effectively, you're going to need to strike additional targets. This can be done via Ancestral Cry, a dedicated support gem, or a mod on your gloves / the skill tree. Potentially both. In addition, when Lightning Strike, strikes, it then creates projectiles. These projectiles blast out in a cone pattern from the source of your attack. One thing that Lightning Strike does, which it shares with another strike skill by the name of Smite, is even if you strike the ground without striking an enemy, you will still create projectiles. And this is also why Lightning Strike is somewhat complicated as a skill, because Lightning Strike is a melee attack, but the projectiles it creates, the thing that you're very often using for clear, is a ranged projectile attack. Now, this distinction might not sound very important, but the difference comes in what support gems you can use and what modifiers affect your build. For example, I'm not sure there's any reason to use melee physical damage with Lightning Strike, but let's just say that you did. It would affect the melee hit. However, it wouldn't affect the projectiles spawned. This means your melee hit is on a 6 link, and the projectiles are on a 5 link. That could be fine if you're planning to get up close and personal with your enemies. It is not so fine if you're planning to clear at a distance and then also fight bosses at a distance. On the other hand, you could make a Lightning Strike Deadeye with vicious projectiles and Farshot. Again, I'm not really sure why you'd want to do this, but if you did, the projectiles would be far more effective. Unfortunately, the melee attack would not be so effective, as again, it's still melee tagged and not projectile tagged. But on the other hand, this is a melee attack that spawns a projectile attack. So even though Multi-Strike cannot be used with Spectral Helix, since Multi-Strike requires the melee tag and Spectral Helix doesn't have it, it can be used with Lightning Strike, and you'll still spawn more projectiles since more attacks per second means more projectiles. And of course, there's a bunch of generic support gems which do support both, for example Trinity and also Nightblade, which is another reason why Lightning Strike is so popular. It's a claw-compatible weapon, and right now Trinity and Nightblade are in a very good spot, especially when combined with alt ailments. Now I do want to talk about one more key difference between Lightning Strike and a lot of other popular melee skills, but before I do, if you've been enjoying this video, which I hope you have been if you're still watching by this point, then please do leave a like, and if you want to see more Path of Exile or other action RPG content, sub to the channel and ring that bell to be notified whenever I upload. Or on the other hand, if non-action RPG content such as gaming news, classic games, and new releases is more of your thing, then head over to my second channel, 10 Gaming Thoughts, where I discuss all of those things. But for now, let's get into one more thing that sets Lightning Strike apart from a lot of other melee skills in Path of Exile. A lot of Lightning Strike's power, both in terms of its single target boss killing potential, and also its amazing clear, is tied to the Vaal version, Vaal Lightning Strike. And this is the thing that really sets Lightning Strike apart from all those other skills that I mentioned earlier. None of them have Vaal versions. If they did, there's a very good chance we'd be in a Vaal Bladestorm meta instead of a Vaal Lightning Strike meta. Vaal Lightning Strike causes what looks a little bit like an electric meteor to fall on enemies. This meteor will then begin pulsing, sending out waves of projectiles. In other words, they very much function exactly like Lightning Strike itself. Even the tags are largely similar, although in this case, Vaal Lightning Strike does gain the duration tag, not only because it's a Vaal skill, but also because your electric sphere of doom will only exist for a fixed duration. In this case, 6 seconds base, but it can be extended. The speed at which it fires projectiles is modified by your attack speed, so there's no fixed pulse rate here, which is quite good as a lot of Vaal Lightning Strike builds, and Lightning Strike in general, do benefit from attack speed quite heavily. The orb will damage any enemy that it's attached to if you manage to attach it to an enemy, but it's perfectly happy to fire projectiles at the ground and damage all nearby enemies instead. You can kind of think of this as a very powerful force multiplier, especially when you consider the fact that it only takes 20 souls to use and you can store 2 charges. The reason that the Savior was so popular with so many melee builds is you got 2 clones that did 50% damage. In the case of Vaal Lightning Strike, you can kind of think of this as 2 additional clones which you can pop down and they'll automatically start firing and killing everything in your maps. In the gameplay demonstration here, I'm not playing a proper Lightning Strike build. I'm just playing my Spectral Helix Raider, which I jankily converted over by just swapping out Spectral Helix and swapping in Lightning Strike. In other words, I have no pierces, and I have no strikes nearby additional targets. This means the clear by itself is a little more awkward than you'd naturally see with a build. However, whenever Vaal Lightning Strike goes down, that doesn't matter anymore. Everything dies, and it's incredibly quick and incredibly efficient. So, I think it's Vaal Lightning Strike, more than anything else, that really sets Lightning Strike apart. That's the advantage or secret sauce which Lightning Strike has, and Frostblades, Bladestorm, or Earthshatter don't. They're not bad skills, but they don't have quite the same level of popularity as a result of not having an I win button for single target, and as a result of not having incredibly efficient, almost automated clear. Because Lightning Strike has been so strong for so long, and because the skill's been used so prevalently, I don't know if Lightning Strike will continue to be as powerful going into 3.18. It's entirely possible that the build will see some adjustments, nerfs, or otherwise balance changes. On the other hand, Trinity or Nightblade could be adjusted, or even Secrets of Suffering could be adjusted. And any of these things might tip the scales to the point where something else ends up being a little bit better. If you want to see more on that, including potential nerfs that I'm predicting for 3.18, then do keep an eye out, as in the next few days, I'm going to be releasing a video on that topic. And now, I'm going to end this with what hopefully isn't a hot take. Personally, I don't really enjoy how Lightning Strike plays, because while it does all of these things very well, it also interacts very oddly with terrain. I find that sometimes the projectiles just slam into a pebble, and then stop existing. I'd much prefer Frostblades, as those projectiles seem to travel in the air and not on the ground, so they're safe from pebbles. So if you've played Lightning Strike, my question is, does it feel smooth and efficient to play, or does it feel a little bit awkward? And if you've played something like Frostblades, does that feel a lot less awkward because the projectiles don't travel across the ground? Be sure to let me know down in the comments below, along with any other skills you'd like to see me explore the mechanics of. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, be sure to put them down in the comments below, or join the Discord, where you can ask questions, get build help, and hang out with the community. A special thanks to my patrons and YouTube channel members. They're awesome, and they get to show it by having their name on screen in the credits of all my videos. So if you want to see your name here, be sure to check the link in the description. For more general gaming content, check out my second channel, 10 Gaming Thoughts, and if you want a water bottle or a cool shirt, I have a link to my official merch shop in the description. I hope you learned something today, and I hope to see you again sometime soon.